24.2 is here, and it's a damn doozy this time. So it's 20-minute AMRAP, a 300-meter row, 10 deadlifts, and 50 double unders. This is really straightforward, and there's a lot of different pacing things that we'll talk about. But first, I want to talk about how you can save space without even having to go faster, and that's your floor setup and how you transition in and out of the movements. So first thing, I think the correct way to do this is to have the barbell on the outside. So you will row first, come over for 10 deadlifts, and then you can go right into your jump rope here and back to your row. The reason I like this is because I don't have to step over a barbell. So if I have my barbell here and jump rope there, I've got to go over a barbell once and over a barbell twice, and just more time to clip the bar and screw things up. So I like this setup a little bit better. Now, with the jump rope, this is important. Once you finish your jump rope, the way I like to set it, so if I'm gonna be counting my reps, if I'm going 48, 49, 50, I then stop jumping and let that rope come back in front of me so it gets caught with my feet. That will pin it, and then I can set my handles down right there, and it leaves the rope open for you. So one more time, when I come in now, it's ready to go. 48, 49, 50, and I let the rope come around that next time and hit the feet, it pins it, and I set it. It's a really effective way to use a rope. By far the biggest time sink though is getting in and out of the rower. So a couple things. Number one, make sure your straps are loose enough that you can slide in and out effectively, but tight enough that they still give you a little bit of help if you do need them. They're still there for support. How you grab the handle and how you sit is super important here. So as I come to get on, I can then reset my monitor, or your judge has that, however you have that. Reset the monitor, bottom right, top right. I'm gonna straddle the rower and grab the handle as I'm standing up. I then sit down, slide back, get in foot one, come forward, get in foot two, and I'm rowing, okay? So one more time. The practical application of this, bam, just finished my rope, set it down. Oh, slick Rick right there, okay? So that's really important of how you do that, and practice this a few times before you start. Last time, ready? Boom, boom, handle, grab backs, in, rowing. That's crucial. Okay, pacing wise, no matter who you are, what pace you're trying to go, is that your overall working pace is what matters. So we have to factor in, obviously, your transition times, your rest. So my point being is having a goal pace on the rower is great, and having, unbroken sets of double under and deadlift is great. That's awesome. But if you are doing those at the detriment of your transition and rest times, it is no longer worth it. So if you're holding yourself hard, like, hey, I'm gonna hold a, 150 row, and you're fucking panicking and having a heart attack on the rower, and that causes you to take 3 extra seconds before you pick up the jump rope, well, you might as well have rowed to 153 and not been panicking. So really to try to average out your total output, and you're better off in this workout hauling ass transitions and smooth, steady working sets. The next thing is that if you're really good at something, sometimes you want to use that as your rest. So for most of us, the deadlift is not the hard part here. It's annoying, but we can all deadlift that. Now, if you're finding that you're resting and tripping up like a son of a bitch on the jump rope, you're probably better off doing 2 sets of 5 on the deadlift and using that as your little bit of a reset to get your shit together. Do 5 reps, break for a couple of seconds, and then go back to your deadlift, hit the next 5 reps, even though you didn't really need the break, and now you're just a little bit fresher for the higher skill movement of that jump rope and not tripping up as much. With me personally on double unders, those absolutely trashed me for years. It just wrecked my heart rate, and as soon as I would get fatigued, the spike would just happen like an exponential rate, and I would just go from okay to completely fucked in no time flat. So for me personally, I think that a way to go is to break the double unders on purpose. And obviously if you're doing this at a high level and you're gonna go unbroken and you're good with that, then yeah, you gotta put down the gas pedal and freaking go. But if these movements are newer and tougher for you, break the double unders on purpose. I mean, you're better off doing 5 sets of 10 double unders and not tripping up and panicking and then having that positive momentum than you are just going until you trip up, because you get that negative reinforcement every trip. Every trip you start to panic. You're like, oh God, are they going to shit? Is this going bad? And you just start to turn it into a mental game. There's no reason to do that. Stay on top of your stuff. If you know the double under is going to be a problem for you, break those up into manageable sets. Even if that's sets of 5, you're better off doing sets of 5 and breaking on purpose for short breaks than just going down the rabbit hole of missing a bunch, okay? Finally, a couple of quick tips for the deadlift and the double under itself. On the deadlift, if your back is blowing up, one of the biggest things I like to check out the gate is make sure I'm not stuck in extension before I start. So a lot of us stick out the ghetto booty before we deadlift. Tuck it, squeeze your ass cheeks, stay neutral. Okay, obviously we can't be rounded, but if you're hyperextended, that is not an effective way to be hinging and pulling. So try to stay neutral, keep the hips underneath you. If you just squeeze your ass before you deadlift, that will help. The next thing is, if your back is blowing up, make sure to let the bar pull you down. When you go for your next rep, if you bend your knees a little bit first and that bar has to come out in front of you even a little bit, that amount of leverage will really hose you in the long run. So really focus on going in this startup. I like to go shins and forearms, parallel lines, weight in the middle of my foot, stand up. Then on the way down, I like to go ass back, let the barbell clear the kneecaps first, then bend the knees. And then the bar stays close to the bottom. So think knuckles down, bar into the shins, the bottom of each rep, and that little bit of leverage advantage will help you out a lot. Double unders. For me, I like to hold low on the rope. I grab low and have my pinky underneath the handle a little bit. I'll kind of move closer so you can see it. But I'll move in down like so. This helps me really use the leverage of the handle itself, and I feel like I can have a little bit more control. And I'll also pinch between my pointer finger and thumb. And then the circle of the jump rope is not, in my mind, is not a circle. I'm going up and down with my thumbs, okay? When that happens, now your wrist is truly doing the work and we can relax the shoulders. So I like to think thumbs up and down. And then another thing that really helps me is a loose elbow. As soon as I flex this, I can no longer really use my wrist. It feels locked up. But if I relax my elbow, all of a sudden, aha, tap, tap, tap. That helps a lot. So loose elbows, thumbs go up and down. And then if you start sucking, if you're tripping up a bunch, what else can you do to make that easier? Fucking give yourself more time. Just jump higher. Don't pick up your feet. Just pull your top of your head up a little bit higher. Give yourself a little bit more hang time. And then it's a little bit more forgiving if you're slightly out of sync with your double under, okay? On the rowing, this is where the workout really sucks when you're holding. You can go into panic breathing pretty good. You must follow your breathing pattern. I like to really focus on exhaling during the drive. I'm exhaling and I'm inhaling, okay? Also, if your chain is whipping around, you're out of sync. A still straight line with your chain, and do not do this. Most of us will end up rowing at some point like so, okay? Do not let the handle dip way down here and let your ass go to your ankles. This is not an effective way to put power into that rower. Try to stay in that deadlift startup position with your hip slightly in front of your shoulder slightly in front of your hip, and really get the power of the leg drive from the start, okay? Smooth in the start, follow the hands in. Do not start coming in early and be upright. This will blow your back up, your quads up, and not be effective on your row, okay? I think that's the most part I got on that game plan wise. I would say if you're panicking heart rate wise, you're better off doing a quick break on each implement and trying to just use the actual work as its rest, you know, like, hey, instead of I'm broken now, I'm not gonna slow down really, I'm just simply going to break at these rep points. And that will be my then built-in rest. And then I can hold steady at my paces. I really like that rather than thinking about slowing up or speeding up and slowing down and holding on to big unbroken sets. If you're a high-level athlete and this is a ripper for you, your best bet is to stay in control of your breathing no matter what before the 15-minute mark. If you're after the 15-minute mark and the rails are starting to fall off, you gotta suck it up, Buttercup, and just hang the fuck on. But if you start getting the rails coming off before that 15-minute mark and you go into that red line zone, you're not setting yourself up for success. Take a round, give yourself a couple of extra breaks of movements or bump your pace down just a little bit, get your shit together, and then get back to work, all right? Other than that, guys, this is a beautiful piece of CrossFit. Be smooth, control your breathing, let's hammer.